I acknowledge that I live, work, and play on the traditional and unceded territory of Coast Salish peoples, specifically the Coquitlam and Kakite. Carol Albert, since establishing yourself as a smooth jazz mainstay, one of your unique trademarks has been writing and recording songs that both chronicle and express your own emotions and thoughtfully reflect upon the world around you. Carol, thank you so much for being in our Jazz Spotlight today.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
Yeah,
Happy to be here.
good. You're a classically trained pianist, composer, and producer who has received an Emmy nomination for your acclaimed work composing for television. Tell us about that. Pretty cool, huh? Make you feel like you're on the right path in life, Carol?
Yes, that was some time ago. I did some music for a 7-part garden series, and it was all original. And so I just had a lot of freedom to do whatever. They gave me the video, and I just kind of like played to the video. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's a great experience. I'd love to do more of that. They do it a little differently now, but sometimes you still get to write to the actual, video or the actual sequence of the show.
Right, right. Tell us about how you find inspiration to write. Is it through your life experiences and others, people's lives?
But it's so many different ways. It can be just something from my personal experience. It's like that just comes to me. Oh, this is and the words come to me. Sorry, my dogs are barking.
That's okay.
And they're loud. So if you have any dog lovers on the show, you get to hear
many.
my dogs.
There's many, yeah.
So hopefully they will subside. But personal experiences of things I've gone through, or a lot of times it's just an idea that will come to me just randomly. Like I'll just hear something. It's like, oh, I'm just going to go sit down at the piano. I work a lot with just my phone, just I go sit down at the piano, and if I don't like record it right away, then I forget it. It just kind of goes away as quick as it came. But then if I record it, then I can go back and listen and say, oh yeah, I remember when I did that. And then I can take a couple of pieces out of it or use the whole thing. Sometimes it's like, well, I want to do something like this, and then just to kind of start from scratch working on something. So it's just all different ways.
Yeah, nice. I listened to your album Stronger Now. Beautiful. I saw yesterday was just a day for me to listen to Carol Albert and that album, I tell you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, that's what music is, the magic of music, right? It's that heart connection thing.
It is. It is. That's what music's about.
Yeah, yeah. Who's your ideal musician, Carol? And who would you like to collaborate with if you could, and why?
People always ask me that, and there's so many different answers. I mean, Stevie Wonder is one of my all-time heroes, but I'm not sure he ever collaborates with anyone.
He's Stevie.
I love Elton John, but he's the same way. He has his people, but I can't really answer that. It would depend on the kind of song that it is. And
yeah, fair enough.
I do have my heroes, but
and who might they be?
I listen to Joe Sample a lot. I listen to I really like this guitar player, Jesse Cook. I listen to him once in a while. And I listen to all kinds of music, Michael Franks. I love the early Boscha stuff.
When did your career start, Carol? How did you're obviously classically trained, of course, pianist and all of that, composer, producer, songwriters. When did your career kick off? After you graduated and stuff, or what?
Well, I went to college. I got a degree in piano.
Yes.
In classical piano, and I just always thought I would teach. I got a double major in performance and in teaching, really, truly, when I graduated, my goal was to teach.
Wow.
And that's what my dad always wanted me to do. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to teach. But all the teaching jobs I applied for, it was at a time that they weren't hiring a lot of people, and I didn't get them. And so
Mm.
it's like, oh, well. And so then I got some calls through a friend of mine that referred me to an agent that was looking for a piano player doing pop music. Can you do this? I was like, well, I always said yes and then freaked out later. And so I said yes. And then I freaked out. It's like, oh my gosh, what? And then I'm, rattling through books, trying to, pulling out pop tunes. And so that's how I started. I just kept getting calls, and I never did go to teach in the public school system. I did teach some in some private schools and did a lot of, private piano lessons, and I did some other more on a contract basis. I always, if it would get slow, I'd always go create a job somewhere at some private school, like a, group recorder
Mhm.
session, create kind of a class. But I just kept going. I never really looked back.
I'm sure you're a mentor to many.
But
I'm sure you're a mentor to many.
I have students that have come and joined my Instagram and my Facebook page and follow me. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's pretty
I
cool.
have some students that are very successful at have a dentist, and she likes to follow me. She was always a really good pianist, and she could have been, in Juilliard, but she, did something practical. And hopefully she still plays. I haven't talked to her, but just I have a lot of students just through the years.
Yeah, that must be satisfying for you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, let's talk about your latest album, Magic Mirror. It
Mhm.
has what, 3 top 5 Billboard hits to date. Must feel pretty good.
It does. It feels awesome. I've got a new single, Soul Ipanema, from the album, and it's doing well. It's early in the promotion, but it's being played on some different stations across
Yeah,
the globe.
yeah. That's exciting.
It is. It's very
Yeah.
exciting.
So, hey, let's take a minute. Let's listen to a tune from Carol Albert's latest album, Magic Mirror. Carol Alberts in our Jazz Spotlight today. Carol, you've been quoted as saying, I have gigged basically every week of my life. How have you found the balance of being a mom and a wife, as well as a musician and a performer?
I, I've always been the balancer. And it's kind of nice. I think that someone always said, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person.
Mm.
And so when I had too much time on my hands, like during COVID, I really was not productive because I just didn't have, all of those deadlines and time constraints. And I know a lot of people were, but I am much more productive when I have to like really schedule my time, and I have, kids that have to be at a soccer game or, something, or a school or whatever, and have to get babysitters. I worked at night for the longest time, for years and years. I'd work 6 nights a week, and
Wow.
then and I was also a runner. I was training to do 10Ks. I did 10Ks, and then I trained for a marathon. I did 3 marathons. So
For
I really
you.
I was just on a schedule. It's like, okay, at this time I do this, at this time I do. I was more disciplined then than I am now, actually. I'm just lost a little bit of that discipline, but I just needed to relax a little bit too.
Of course. Yeah. Sounds like a multitasker. You're the multitasker goal setter, are you? Sounds
I
like.
do. I set goals, and that has worked for me.
Yeah. Well, I
To
mean, as a mom, I mean, come on. Moms are multitaskers. You're doing a million things, right?
right.
All the time. Then you had your career as well. And now you're telling us that you're also were a runner and you're doing marathons. I mean, talk about a full life, but maybe that's what motivates you, Carol. That's what it is, right? You said, give me something to do and I'm good. I'm on.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I quit running marathons a few years back, but now I do yoga.
Yeah.
Get out and do some gardening once in a
I
while.
love gardening.
So um, my husband actually passed away in 2014, which is
Mm,
why I launched kind of recording again. I've taken a little bit of time off of recording and decided to really launch back into writing and recording. And so that was 2015. I did a Christmas CD. And so since then, I've done 4 albums or 5. So
yeah.
I'm working on a new one right now.
Are you?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm sure. I mean, a life-changing, tragic, a life-changing event like that would. It sounds like it pushed you and drove you into, connect with your feelings and stuff, and that's why you got creative and did all the writing, and then after that, right? I mean, I think about "Fly Away Butterfly," wow, yeah, powerful stuff.
Well, um, I think like most writers that I've really read about are prompted by something, to the songs that really matter to them
Hmm.
and songs that register with other people. Like Wayne Shorter, did you watch the series on Wayne Shorter? He was a very interesting saxophone player, but he had a lot of tragedy in his life, but he was always writing. And I think that it keeps us moving forward. It keeps us going through instead of, again, setting goals, to working towards something, having purpose and meaning in life. I
Yeah,
think that's important for all of us to have some purpose. And I really felt like, it was my purpose in
yeah.
life to
So we're
write.
lucky to have you doing your purpose. That's for sure, Carol. Hey, a question: what would you want to be if you weren't a musician?
I've always been a musician. I don't know. It's never been an option to be anything else.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
well,
don't
you got some major roles in your life, right? Wife, mom, musician, pretty big roles.
know.
Uh,
Yeah.
do you have any other hobbies? You mentioned gardening. Do you have any other hobbies or interests outside of music?
Uh, I do have other interests. I like to go hiking. I like to connect with my friends when I can, time to time. It's not really a hobby, but it's an effort to get out and connect with your friends these
Absolutely.
days, you know.
Especially when you're on a walk, when you're walking and talking, and it's nice.
Yeah, and I um I like to read. I don't read that often, but when I get a book, I read it cover to cover. So I kind of have to space it out, or else I would be reading all the time because I
Mm.
can't put it down.
Fiction or nonfiction or both?
I've done both. I read both. Um, and uh, I've had a lot of different hobbies, through the years. I
Yeah.
like to work with my hands. I like to do crafts.
It's the creative part again.
It is.
Yeah. So, is there anything you haven't accomplished, Carol, that you'd like to accomplish? Like maybe I'm thinking about maybe scoring a movie, something like that.
I would love to score a movie. That would be a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. What's
Uh,
next? What's next for Carol Albert?
I'm working on some new music. I'm working on an album for myself, but I'm also writing some music for some other artists
Oh,
and doing a show with Reagan Whiteside and Paula Atherton in November. And I'm writing a song for us to do together. And I could leak the title, but I won't. I'll tell you when we're off the air. Um, and thinking about, I just played a little thing this morning. My friends Reagan and Dennis, they have two small children. They're very, very good friends of mine. He's her producer and she's the flute player. And so they were talking about Christmas music, and I said, well, doing an original is kind of tough. But then I sat down this morning and played a little tune that I thought, hey, we could turn this around and have Reagan's kids sing on it and sing
oh,
background kid vocals, and she can play the flute, and this would make a nice little original Christmas tune. So I'm always thinking ahead in terms of like what this would be good for, and I write all different kinds of music. And some of it's more classical, some of it's more funky, and some of it's like Reagan said, well, I want a funky tune like On My Way. And so one night I dreamed of a song, but I was just too tired to get up and play it. So then I forgot it the next morning. But it'd come back to me if it was important. But so I just like to keep moving forward.
are you one of those writers like Alan Jackson, example, the singer, country singer? He talked about waking up in the middle of the night and a line comes to mind, and he would reach over and grab a pencil and write it down, and then go back to sleep. And then the next
I've
day,
done that.
have you done that?
I have done that, and then that's really good when I can do that. I force myself actually to get up and walk down to the piano and play something on the piano, but sometimes it's just like, I'm just too tired. I'll remember this in the morning, and then, I don't. So, but I've done that before.
Yeah, yeah. It seems to work for some.
Yeah, my brain sort of solves problems at night. When I was in school, I was taking this horrible math course, and I had to have it to graduate algebra. And
Ouch.
yeah, it was. And then I was like failing like the first, however many weeks. And I went to the professor and I said, I've got to pass this class. I can't, I just can't come back to school. I've got to get out. This is the last thing I need. And I said, what can I do? She said, well, come to my office and we'll show you how to do this, how to work with that. And so then I did everything she said. I did my homework every day, and I got an A in the class, but I would actually think about the problems at night. I would like solve the problems. And it's like, okay, well, I'm glad that class was over. So I could sleep, because
Yeah.
I was constantly solving these problems at night. So anyway.
Well, yeah, your subconscious mind's 24/7. It's a constant problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked for you too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you got some exciting things happening in your world, being creative, new music coming out, Christmas tune perhaps with your friends. It's all cool.
Yeah.
We're going to do this part of the show now, Carol, where I'm going to start a sentence. It's called sentence completion. So I'm going to start a sentence, and I don't want you to even think about it. Just the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Ready? And I have always been glad that I've had the ability to
be active and healthy and walking and running and hiking.
My best friend would describe me as a person who is
Driven.
yeah, I think so. And thirdly, one thing my teachers liked about me is that I
was a good student.
good student. Good job. She has released 9 albums, headlined on tours worldwide. She is Carol Albert. Carol, thank you so much for your time today and being in our Jazz Spotlight. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time and keep smiling.
Okay, thanks, Ken.